number 2022 F5250, State of Florida versus Lawrence Dority, State.
Michael Smith, the state.
Defense.
Harold D. Thompson, on behalf of Mr. Dority. Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning. I'll note that Mr. Dority is present, dressed out in civilian clothes, and he's not shackled. He's out of custody. All right. When we stopped yesterday, we had finished with the jury selection. I did the preliminary instructions. We were going to resume the trial this morning with you all each making your opening statements and then proceeding with the witnesses. I just need to know whether or not during the opening statements, Mr. Thompson, you intend to concede any element of any crime or any lesser included offense and make sure that your client is on board with that strategy.
Yes, Your Honor, we're going to concede to the fact that this was a shooting, and of course, this is a case of self-defense, so we have to admit that that was actually done.
All right. Mr. Dority, you understand that's what your defense is?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're in agreement with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you've discussed that with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else that I need to address from the state?
Nothing from the state.
Defense?
Nothing from defense, Your Honor.
All right. Then let's go ahead and bring our jurors back in. All right, we're have a seat. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I trust that you all complied with the instructions I gave you yesterday. You did not do any research, looking up of any names, maps, or doing any investigation of your own reference this case. Is that correct? All right. When we stopped yesterday, we had done the jury selection, and I had given you the preliminary instructions. So we're now going to start with the opening statements of the attorneys and then start moving into the witnesses' testimony. So at this time, the attorneys for the parties will have the opportunity to make their opening statements in which they may explain to you the issues in the case and give you a summary of the facts that they expect that the evidence will show. State wish to give its opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may do so.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please report. On May 9th of 2022, this defendant shot and killed Adreian Payne. And you're going to hear the evidence in this case, and it's going to show that this defendant was not acting in self-defense. He was not standing his ground. He arrived back to his house at about 1:30 a.m. and he saw the victim's vehicle, which he recognized, parked a few houses down from his residence, parked on the street. He approached the vehicle. They had a brief word, and then the defendant goes back inside his house. The victim doesn't follow. He never leaves the area of his vehicle, which is parked on the street. But the defendant goes to his house. He locates his firearm. So you're going to hear through the witnesses and evidence in this case that the defendant was driven home that night about 1:30 a.m. by his father. He had been in an argument with his girlfriend, Tatiana Mesa. They were at a family party at the defendant's father's house. You're going to hear that Tatiana Mesa, the defendant's girlfriend, called her best friend, Tara Walker, who is the victim's girlfriend, and asked if she could come over to the residence. Tara Walker speaks with her boyfriend, the victim in this case, and he decides to come to the residence or the area of the residence as well as backup. They all get there. Well, I guess the defendant arrives before Tara Walker, but she arrives shortly after, and the victim is already in his vehicle, parked on the street when he arrives. So the defendant had previously known the vehicle, as you're going to hear in the evidence, and he goes up and exchanges words. He's upset. You're going to hear from Tara Walker that the defendant appeared to be intoxicated at the time. Again, he didn't drive himself to his home. His father had driven him to his house that night. And, there's words exchanged, but that's not the point that the shooting happens. He takes the time, he goes inside, and he arms himself with the firearm. Now, you're going to hear from the medical examiner in this case, Dr. Marie Hansen, and she's going to tell you that the cause of death was the gunshot wound that went through the arm and the torso in this case, and that the manner of death was determined to be homicide. You're going to hear from several witnesses in the case, the primary one being Tara Walker, who was present and witnessed the shooting. And she's going to let you know, as I said, that the defendant appeared to be intoxicated, that he was upset, that he was belligerent. And I expect that you're also going to see some surveillance footage in this case. Now, the surveillance doesn't capture the incident itself, but there's a camera that's near a neighbor's camera that you can hear the shooting itself on the surveillance footage, and you can see the aftermath. And on that footage, you're going to be able to hear Tara Walker pleading with this defendant. Don't take your gun out. Don't take your gun out. We were called here. Don't take your gun out. You're going to see the defendant doesn't listen. He takes his gun out, he takes aim, and all in this moment he shoots the victim and kills him. Now, after that, you're going to see Tara Walker run to the area where the surveillance camera is located, and you're going to see the defendant's son, Adreian Dority, is running with her, and then ultimately the defendant comes out and calls his son into the house. Now, you're going to hear from Tara Walker, and she's going to tell you the victim didn't have a weapon, that he didn't threaten a weapon. The evidence in this case will be clear. This is not a case of self-defense. This is not a case of someone standing their ground. As was discussed in jury selection, in a self-defense or stand your ground situation, the facts matter. And the facts in this case are not someone defending themselves. They're someone being the aggressor, taking aggressive action, arming themselves, and committing a murder. And once you've heard the evidence in this case, we'll ask that you convict. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson, does the defense wish to give an opening?
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court?
You may.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing today? Yeah, we just get right into this. This is not a complicated case. This is a very simple case. Okay? This is a case about self-defense. And not just self-defense of oneself, but we're talking about self-defense of one's family. Okay? Please pay close attention to the facts in this case. Every fact is very important. May 9th, 2022, Lawrence Dority was celebrating Mother's Day with his family at his father's house, not very far from where this incident occurred. Okay? When he decided to leave, his father drives him home. Okay? Mr. Larry Dority is the driver, Lawrence Dority is a passenger, and his 10-year-old son is a passenger in the backseat compartment of his truck. Unknown to him, unexpected, tone. He observes a black Chevy, blacked out tinted window Chevy now parked outside his house. Lights, headlights on, car running. Okay? Out of concern, he starts to walk over to the car. And he starts to realize this car looks familiar to him. He believes it's the car of his long-term friend, lady friend, Tara Walker. Evidence will show this is the car that she had been very months. It was 6 months at a time. Mr. Dority didn't know that was her car. He didn't know that was a boy in the car. He walks up, then the tinted window rolls down. One can't see inside his car. It's 1:30 in the morning. It's dark out. Window rolls down. Mr. Dority asks, "Why are you here?" You want to know what happens next? Evidence will show that 6'8", at least 6'8", according to the medical examiner, he's 80 inches tall. Just like 6'8", now she's tall. Steps out of the car, wingspan of 7 foot. With a threatening posture. Steps out. I was smoking. What you want to do? What you want to do? Mr. Dority immediately retreats into his home. Gets his firearm. Evidence will show that he's a concealed weapon permit holder. Evidence will show he didn't go with the trouble. Trouble came with him. Right? His son is outside. He can't even make it into the house stage. He walks back out. Before that, he's still asking, "Why are you here?" You need to leave. Guess what happened next, ladies and gentlemen? As Mr. Dority, after being threatened, walks into his home. He comes back out, and instead of Mr. Payne, the first name is Mr. Payne, his name is Adreian Payne. Mr. Dority didn't know that. He only knew that somebody named Adreian. He didn't know him personally, he didn't know him at all. Right? As he comes back out, not only did Mr. Payne not leave, but he pulls the car up closer to this home. So he had the opportunity to leave. And the evidence will show that his girlfriend, Tara Walker, actually told him to leave. She had arrived at the tail end of the verbal altercation. The evidence will show she wasn't even present when Mr. Dority approached to ask him to see who he were. You heard testimony that she's going to say she's on the ball. She would admit to you that she told him not to come to the house. He did it anyway. The evidence will show he didn't even know where Mr. Dority lived. He circled around the neighborhood to find, he found Mr. Dority's car. He was familiar with it, he can say things or whatever it is. Right? Mr. Dority comes back out, asks him to leave again. Not just that, why are you here? Simultaneously, as Mr. Payne is reaching, Mr. Dority fires one shot, not to kill, but to repel the threat. Evidence will show that bullet was pierced through the bicep into his chest cavity. Only then he got back in the car. He was still standing outside the car. Okay? What did Mr. Dority do next? He didn't flee. He immediately told his son to come get in the house, called law enforcement, reported to them what happened. Okay? He cooperated with the investigation. This is a case about self-defense. This is a case about defense of others. This case is very simple. Evidence would show that neither Mr. Lawrence Dority or Mr. Dority's fiance at the time invited Mr. Payne over. No one invited him over. Evidence would show that Mr. Payne's girlfriend advised him not to go, not to come. Evidence would show that the crime scene wasn't really secure. It was contaminated before law enforcement arrived. The state is even being spoken in this admitted that it was weapons in the car. Evidence would show that that weapon, that knife, was not tested to DNA. Fingerprints was not even taken in evidence. Evidence would show that Ms. Tara Walker had access to that vehicle before law enforcement arrived. You would hear evidence that no firearm was located. But there is a reasonable explanation for that. Okay? Evidence would show that. The evidence revealed the inconsistency in the state's evidence in this case. It's an abundance of it. The evidence revealed lack of evidence in this case. This is a clear case of self-defense. After you've heard and seen all the evidence, we ask that you find Mr. Dority not guilty. It's the right thing to do under these circumstances. This is not a case of a gunman on the loose, shooting bystanders and innocent people. This is a man that was on his way home, minding his business. Okay? This is not complicated. This is a case about a man who was forced to defend himself, his child, and his father against a much larger, aggressive man who showed up armed and threatening him at his home in the dead of the night, 1:30 in the morning. He didn't come singing a Christmas carol. He didn't come with any sense of kindness or respect. He came with intent to intimidate and threaten. And that's what he did. Evidence would show that Mr. Dority did what any reasonable person would do in that situation. Ask, Mr. Payne, why are you here? Mr. Dority asked Mr. Payne to leave. Did he leave? No. But more importantly, why was he there? How did you even know how to get to the house? Mr. Dority was threatened by him. He immediately went in his home and protected himself and his family. Mr. Payne postured himself in a threatening manner while outside of Mr. Dority's home at 1:30 in the morning. This is a case about self-defense. This is the case that the people of the state of Florida should recognize as self-defense. This is not acceptable. He's innocent. His actions are justified. After you heard everything, we prayed humbly and asked that you find out. That
Okay, call your first witness.
Your Honor, at this time, we would move to offer into evidence what's been marked for identification as States E, the stipulation of the parties, and ask that be published.
Any objection from this defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, what's been marked as States Exhibit E for identification will be received into evidence as States 1.